But if this government of national unity doesn't work for South Africa, maybe after a year or two, we find out, no man, this GNU was a mistake. This GNU is not something that we should have allowed in this country. If that happens, that's the only way that the EFF will be vindicated. That's the only way. If the GNU fails, then people will start now paying attention to the EFF. That's the only way people are going to pay attention to the EFF again, if the GNU fails. But if GNU succeeds, and it succeeds with the EFF outside of GNU, the EFF is going to die. I'm sure Uguti by now, everyone here in South Africa can see Uguti, the EFF is a sinking ship. Everyone can see Uguti, the EFF is not the party that it used to be. And this is because of one thing that I'm going to talk about in today's video. Something that a lot of people don't notice. There's a lot of reasons why the EFF seems to be losing followers at a rapid rate. A lot of people are leaving the EFF. Some people are going to the MK party. Some people are joining the Patriotic Alliance. Some people are even returning back to the ANC, leaving the EFF. It just shows Uguti, the EFF is drowning. The departure of Floyd Shibambu just made things worse, because that alone spoke volumes to the people of South Africa. Uguti, the co-founder of a party, if the co-founder of the party is leaving that party, then it means Uguti, he can see Uguti, this party 10 years from now will be the next COPE. It won't even be relevant. So Floyd Shibambu left the EFF. Now it's this guy, Talimpofu now decided to leave the EFF for the MK party. Even the prominent figures who are holding positions there at the EFF are leaving EFF. So it's only right for the followers who want to leave the EFF to leave the party, and we shouldn't blame them. We all can see, Uguti, the EFF is drowning. But why? The EFF used to be such a powerhouse here in South Africa. They used to be the opposition party. You understand? Everything that the EFF used to say, we paid attention to it. Everything that the EFF used to fight for, we paid attention to it. But lately, it's like the EFF is losing relevance. I don't know whether you'll notice this or you don't notice it, but look at the EFF, look at their moves. The EFF is losing relevance. People in South Africa no longer take anything that the EFF does seriously, or anything that the EFF says seriously. They are no longer taken seriously in this country. That position that they had is now occupied by the MK party. People are now behind the MK party as the opposition party in South Africa. And people are slowly forgetting about Julius Malema. It's very hard to forget about Julius Malema, Angali. But trust me, 10 years from now, at this pace, people would have forgotten about Julius Malema. And the thing that the EFF failed to get right, that is going to be the reason for them to drown, is not accepting the invite to join the GNU. The EFF should have joined the GNU if they wanted to stay relevant. Angali, Julius Malema said it out loud, Uguti Yena, he's not going to sell out and work with the enemy, the DA and things like that, or work with the ANC. He's not going to do that. But in doing so, Julius Malema didn't realize Uguti is actually killing the EFF, because he went about this whole situation as if this country was still going to be run by the ANC. He failed to realize, Uguti, since the ANC won't be the only party in government right now, the way I'm going to have to oppose or be the opposition will also have to change. The dynamics of government have changed. Obviously, because it's a new government, a totally different government. So it's only normal for the dynamics of the government internally and externally to change. And if the dynamics of the government is going to change, then the dynamics of the opposition also need to change and evolve. You can't oppose the same way you were opposing the ANC and you are opposing GNU. The way the EFF was a powerhouse in opposition when the ANC was still in power is not the same way they should go about it in opposing GNU. That's not the way they should have done it. They failed to realize, Uguti, the only way the EFF will stay relevant and be the powerhouse of opposition in South Africa is if they are opposing from within the GNU. The ANC kube kuya ngabo, they want to run this country on their own. The Patriotic Alliance kube kuya ngabo, they want to run this country on their own. All of these parties who form the GNU, they all have aspirations of running this country alone, outright, for them to have an outright majority. It's not like all these parties who form the GNU are friends. No, they are opposition parties there in the GNU. Yabo, the DA is still an opposition party because even though they are now part of the government, but they are under the ANC. You understand? ANC got more votes than them, so they are still in a way the opposition party. They are still opposing the ANC. The Patriotic Alliance, even though it's still it's a member of GNU, but they are still an opposition party because they are under the ANC. A party that is part of the GNU doesn't necessarily mean they have to like or one another. You understand? It just means they have to work together. And if a party is inside the GNU, it's able to oppose kahle ngendlela irrelevant. If a party is part of the GNU, it's going to be able to see how the dynamics of the government are working, and so they will be able to change their opposition tactics to work for this new dynamic. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? If you don't understand, let me try to make an example here. Ne? You see the DA, for example. The DA was leading a march now with the other parties and AfriForum with this whole Bella thing. You know what the DA doesn't agree with the ANC when it comes to this Bella situation. But the DA is in an advantage when they want to oppose because they are part of government. They can see everything that is happening within the government. So just because they are part of the GNU, it doesn't mean they have to abandon their policies of the DA. No, they still have their policies. They are still opposing the ANC, but at the same time working with them. And they are at an advantage because they see everything that the ANC does, and it's easier for them to oppose because they are the government of national unity. They are inside. There's no decision that the ANC takes that's going to affect the GNU that the DA will not know about. But it's a different story when it comes to the EFF. The EFF is trying to oppose from the outside of the government when they had the opportunity to oppose from inside the government. Julius Malema decided to stay outside of the government and use the same tactics that he used to oppose ANC to try and oppose GNU, which is proving to not work. You get what I'm saying? What I'm saying is, in simple terms, the EFF should have agreed to join GNU. And then when they are inside GNU, they would see the dynamics of the new government, and it would have been easier for them to oppose and stay relevant. Because when we talk about GNU, EFF is inside. We are also going to talk about EFF. It was not going to lose relevance. But now the fact that they are outside the government, everyone is talking about GNU. Everyone is talking about the parties that make the GNU. I don't know whether you noticed this or not, but it seems like South African citizens no longer care about the parties that are outside of the GNU. We care about the parties that are inside the GNU because we are looking at them to see how are they going to work together for the benefit of this country. So we don't want to pay attention to people who are outside the government, who are not going to do anything in government. You get what I'm saying? So Julius Malema, his opposition party, the EFF, is going to die because he's losing relevance slowly. Even the things he's saying now, when he talks, people are just saying, Malema. You see, he's losing relevance. But if he decided to join the GNU, he was going to be able to oppose ngendlela that is effective because he's part of the government. Yonke into ayishoyo was going, people were going to pay attention to it because it was going to affect the country since he is part of the GNU. But now, since he's outside of GNU, he's losing relevance. He's losing relevance. People are now starting to support the MK party because, you know, everyone likes the new guy on the field. You know, the new guy, the EFF, the MK party is the new guy on the field. So everyone is flocking to them. You understand? Then what? The EFF is losing relevance. You understand what I'm saying? Even the MK party, this government of national unity works for South Africa. And it actually shows what is what South Africa needs. 2029, when we are going to vote, we are going to want the government of national unity again because we can see what is working. And if it's working, then 2029, the MK party doesn't also want to join GNU, njengoba EFF yenza. Now it's going to slowly die because they will be opposing from the outside of the government. You understand? So if the GNU does good, if the GNU does good, ne? And then 2029, the South African citizens decide, no, we want GNU back. The MK party, they join the GNU and try to fight from inside the government, try to oppose from inside the government. But if they also choose, no, we are going to oppose from outside the government, they are going to face the same fate as the EFF right now. You see what is going on, what is happening to the EFF right now is what's going to happen to the MK party 2029 if they don't want to join the government of national unity. But I'm only saying this only if the government of national unity works for South Africa. But if this government of national unity doesn't work for South Africa, maybe after a year or two, we find out, no man, this GNU was a mistake. This GNU is not something that we should have allowed in this country. If that happens, that's the only way that the EFF will be vindicated. That's the only way. If the GNU fails, then people will start now paying attention to the EFF. That's the only way people are going to pay attention to the EFF again. If the GNU fails. But if GNU succeeds, and it succeeds with the EFF outside of GNU, the EFF is going to die. And if the GNU succeeds, in 2029, people want GNU again because it's doing good, and the MK party decides to stay outside of government again, then the MK party is going to die. What I'm trying to say is these parties, these other opposition parties, if they want to stay relevant, they want the people of South Africa to continue voting for them, it's beneficial for them to oppose from inside the government. This thing of wanting to be oppositions outside of the government, even though there's an opportunity for you to be inside the government, won't work for them. But the government of national unity in South Africa is a new thing. So even for the parties, but EFF, they didn't know how are they supposed to do this thing. You understand? Because it was something new. They failed to understand, the only way they will stay relevant is if they change the way they are doing things, the way they are opposing. And try to find out, okay, this government of national unity, now we are no longer opposing the ANC. There's a lot of parties right now who have a say in how the country is ran. Why don't we be part of that thing so that we can also voice inkinga esinazo, or the things that we don't want to happen in this country, whether they like it or not? But kuzoba lula because we are part of government. But no, the EFF decided, no, we are going to oppose from outside the government. How is that thing turning out right now? How is it turning out? So that's just what I wanted to talk about in today's video. The EFF should have joined GNU if they wanted to stay relevant. But at this pace right now, the EFF is going to die, or is going to face the same fate like COPE. So tell me on the comment section, what do you think about this? Do you think I'm wrong, Mangiti? The EFF would have survived if it was inside the government like these other parties? Or do you think they're right when they are outside of the government? Tell me. Because at this pace, the EFF is dying. It's slowly losing relevance. So tell me on the comment section down below. My name is Emmanuel, and this is Mzansi Versity, the place where we transform lives through knowledge and information. If you enjoyed this video or you learned something new, please leave a like and subscribe to this channel. I would really appreciate it. Let's meet again on another video.